Hello, welcome to GAMA Expo Plus. This is really exciting. First, to kind of sit down and chat of the evening is welcome everybody. Let's start with a little bit of introductions. I suppose we should probably start because we're talking already.
Yeah. Well, who are you? Let everyone know who you are.
Hi, I'm Sage Ryan from Pixel Circus. We're a tabletop gaming studio.
And I'm Carlos Luna, also from Pixel Circus.
And we're joined by, obviously, two very important members of GAMA.
Well, that'd be her. So it's her then.
My name is Nicole Brady. I am the Media and Events Director for the GAMA Board of Directors and currently the Serving President.
And I am John Stacey, Executive Director of GAMA.
Very exciting. Mm-hmm. Now, when you say events, that means this is a pretty big week for you.
Actually, it's not. It's a big week for him.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're media events as in I have a website that I'm I'm a content creator. Mm-hmm. The other person is Monica Rasso. She's she runs events. And so we represent the people that are in the industry that actually work. But regarding this particular event, that's all the team. That's John and his staff that actually run that.
That's amazing. Well, why don't you tell us then a little bit, John, about GAMA Expo 2025?
Sure. So for those who don't know, GAMA is the trade association for the tabletop game industry. We represent about 1,700 companies in 32 countries.
Wow.
We're going to have 3,100 people here this year. This year at the show. I always joke this is the biggest year ever, but it always is. And so last year we moved from Reno to Louisville, and we had a 34% growth. This year we're already at 15%, and we haven't completed check-in yet. So it's going to be a dynamic year. It's 5 days of seminars, workshops, networking, game nights, a lot of socialing, people getting together and doing business together. And then the exhibit hall is on Wednesday with 350 exhibitors, which is our biggest exhibit hall ever.
Wow.
So which is pretty cool.
Amazing. The vibes are different here than like other conventions that I've been to, where it feels like everyone kind of knows each other or is welcoming to new people that they don't know. Is that some type of is that part of the culture that you guys try to cultivate here?
It is. It's actually, the industry itself is very welcoming and really uplifting. Like the people that are doing the seminars, the presentations as example, they're our peers. And they just want to make sure that the rest of us are succeeding. So they're using what they've learned along the way from people that have taught them or they've learned on their own, and they're sharing it with other people to help lift up the whole community. It's a very collaborative effort. That's just the whole nature of creating board games anyway, or creating games in general. It's very collaborative. But it's very exciting because here what's different is usually when you attend a convention, it's consumer facing. This is all business to business. It's all people working in the industry. So it definitely has a different vibe just because of that.
Yeah. And it's a members only show. So you have to be part of our association to come here. And that creates that collegiality we have. And we joke this is the largest cooperative game you ever play.
Yeah.
Coming here together and being part of this community.
Accurate.
It definitely feels like that. I feel like in just even restaurants nearby, there's a certain thing where it feels like you can walk up and speak to people and people are really ready to receive you and very open to things, which is really wonderful. And it's only day one.
Yeah. And you have a bunch of people that are also all in the same, business, but not in an actual, it doesn't feel competitive out there.
Right.
Like they're not competing for this thing or I want to be able to show up this and, really dominate the space or whatever. It's just I remember you from last year or just oh my God, you did this, which is a great vibe to have at a convention.
Yeah, I've been in the association world for about almost 20 years now. And this the only issue I've ever been in has been such a collaborative nature. Because a lot of business, these are my competitors, we don't have that feeling here.
Yeah.
We want to grow the entire industry, and we all work together to make that happen.
Yeah, I feel like, too, in the combining of different sides of the industry, I meet so many people that I would not have otherwise met. I tend to meet a lot of other people that do pretty much exactly what I do. Can you speak a little bit to that, of what it's been like to kind of connect with other parts of this industry as, the media and events side representative?
It's really unique because even as media, there's written content creators, there's YouTube, there's Instagram, there's TikTok, there's just general social, people that are doing all different tiers, podcasting, things like that. We all have different objectives, but we're not really competing against each other. We just have different ways of doing the same thing, and there's a lot of collaboration. That you may find someone that you just mesh with, and you say, hey, let's just do a collab, and you move forward, and it just helps everybody reach other audiences that they haven't met in the past or haven't been able to reach in the past. But at the same time, you're also helping your customer, your client, to reach new people, and that's really ultimately is what's lifting everybody up.
we talked mostly just about meeting events, but we have 6 membership groups. We have over 1,000 retailers here this week. I mentioned, I think it's close to 500 publisher companies that are here. And then the media and events, they have 125, 130 members from their division. So, I mean, and we also have wholesale here as well, and factories and productions. We have almost over 100 people here from different factories that come in. So, I mean, it's a really dynamic and robust week we've got planned.
And the creator group is amazing. Like they're such a supportive group. But the creator group by themselves is game designers. It's writers. It's the rule writers. It's the artists. All those people are part of the creator group. And when you go to an event that's creator related, they're actually helping each other. You know, that you may find a designer that says this person does amazing artwork, and they'll actually recommend them to somebody else and say, hey, I know that you're working on a game design for blah, blah, blah topic, and this person over here really has an art style that might mesh for you. And it's just really uplifting to each other, and it's great seeing how people work with each other and really try to support one another.
And that's one of our newer divisions. We made a massive shift about 4 years ago. We wanted to be a much more diverse and inclusive industry and have an organization that represents everybody. For our first 40-plus years, we were just publishers. And then we had some retailers show up and then some wholesalers, but they weren't really, they didn't have a voice. And so 4 years ago, our membership made a decision they wanted to change and become more inclusive. And so we voted to change our entire structure. And now we have 6 divisions, and our board's new, relatively speaking. They've got 2 representatives from each division. And so they're out there advocating for the people. And so last year was our first real designer and creative thing. We had a one-day event, and we had about 100 people there. We almost doubled that this year, and we have a whole track this week. And in fact, we have a whole room, which is the Creator Pavilion, which is this like next ball room over. And they're going to be doing prototypes and play testing there all week and in classes. And it's a really robust program that we put together. I keep saying that, but I'm just so excited and proud of what we do.
Yeah.
The team's done.
You should be very proud of it,
Yeah.
too. Like, I got a chance to do a meet and greet with other creators, and just watching some people unlock things in their head as they're talking to someone, you know, because you could be a creator and you could be fantastic at your craft, right? You do video work, you do YouTube, whatever, and you love tabletop games, but you've never talked to a publisher before. Like, you don't know what their needs are, and you could see something kind of like, oh yeah, that does make sense. Like, they would want to see us play their game in front of people as opposed to like do an unboxing or that I usually do on my channel. So you definitely see that, or like, you know, the packages that they can offer, like, oh yeah, I do this, and they're like, wait, you do photography? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like it's nothing for the creator maybe. Like they throw it in with their video work, but then someone's like, oh yeah, I didn't know product photography was like a thing. You know?
Just like hearing what people need and how the different ways that you can fulfill it. And I think that's one of the other things that's unique about GAMA Expo is also these educational seminars, which is a good place to kind of find out those things, even if you don't meet everybody attending some of those.
Yeah.
Are there any that you're particularly excited about this week, or like just types of events?
We're going to date up in a little bit. He is our education manager. He can talk about it a little more specifically.
Yeah.
I'm just excited that we've got over 200 seminars and peer-to-peer workshops and presentations this week. That's our highest number by far.
Yeah.
And we've been very mindful this year to make sure that we're trying to include as many divisions as possible in the program. And David and the education committees, we're all volunteers, done a great job putting that together and creating a really, I'm going to use the word robust again, a really robust program for the week.
Yeah.
What's the process like, the selection process like for you, or like for the team, what they're focusing on? Like, obviously, you mentioned like a more diverse, robust, but like, what are things that like, you know, pop up and you're just like, oh, we've never done something like that before? Is there something that...
Well, the Creative Pavilion is a good example of that, because that's something we've done before. We did some play testing last year, and it was very popular, like I said. And we was like, how can we take that to the next level this year? And so we're very mindful in creating that program. Again, I'm going to all kudos to David, and David is a designer background, and he's going to talk about that in a little bit when we come up here. But I don't want to steal his thunder on that. but there's other programs like this, for example. This program here is something we created. We come up with the idea last year because we were talking about, you know, there's some challenged people coming to Louisville. We understand that, and part of the reason we created this GAMA Expo Plus is to provide opportunity for people who can't make it to Louisville for whatever reason. They still feel like they're part of our community. Yeah. And so this was when that new idea came up. And again, I could say we are a member-driven organization. And we're being driven by the members, like, you know. But and so if they have an idea that makes sense, we want to make it happen. Right. Yeah. And we try to do as much as we can to make sure that the needs of members are being fulfilled. if they have a good idea and we can make it work financially, we'll put it out there and try it. And this is a good example of that. And we're recording a lot of seminars this year. We've not done that before.
Yeah.
And so one of the requests we've had for many years is, hey, could you guys record things so I can watch them later? And we just haven't had the bandwidth, either staff or the financial to make that happen. This year we said, this is important. We're going to make a commitment. And I talked with the board. We put it in the budget, and it happened.
Yeah.
And so, we're recording 6 rooms full of sessions, and so we're going to have at least 50 seminars that we're shooting for to have recorded. And those will be up over the next couple of weeks. Well, probably a couple of months would be edited. I don't want to rush it. But but over the next months, we're going to trickle those out. And then we'll have that all year round to look at and go back and then hopefully build some excitement for next year.
Yeah.
And so our goal is we want to build a show every year to have a broader range of seminars and programs and presentations. So, again, we're member-led, and we want to make sure that we're filling the needs of this industry.
Yeah.
So kind of leaning off that when you asked how we come up with which topics,
Yeah.
it's literally as a member, I go, you know what, I would love for people to understand this topic better, whether it's my peers or whether it's, my customers. I want them to understand the challenges that I have or whatever. And for example, I'm doing a session on embargoes, that people don't understand the importance of maintaining an embargo and not releasing it until the publisher is ready. And there's a number of reasons for that to happen. But if people don't understand that and they've not been given the opportunity to learn about it, they're just not going to understand.
Yes.
So I submitted it. The team decided that it was a valuable topic.
You're board president.
This is true. But those are the kinds of things that all of the topics are submitted by people like myself or people like you, that you say you want people to learn how to do interviews. Hey, there's some topics. This is a topic on how to do better interviews. And then you teach other people how to do their jobs better just by the knowledge that you have. And they look through and they say, yeah, that's a good topic, and let's schedule that. And that's how we built on. And how many seminars? 300? 200?
It's over 200. I mean,
Over
it's 200 hours.
200 and some, a lot.
We get Dave will talk
Yeah.
about that when he gets up here.
A lot.
Now, the question is, as the president, do you still have to fill out the form in the same way?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No, auto approval. You can't
Nope.
put it in a group chat. Hey,
No,
guys.
I can submit my stuff, and then I can send a message in the group chat. This is, by the way, I submitted it. Want to make sure you got it.
Oh, yeah.
But
This one's really impressive, guys. I think we should give this a shot.
There's some good ideas.
Yeah.
here.
But I try very hard to put myself in the position of I am a member, just
Yeah.
like everybody else. So I'm submitting things just like a member. And when I'm talking to the team, as a member, I try to say, but I am a member. I'm taking off my president hat here. I'm having a conversation with you as a member, and I want other people to recognize that that they can talk to the team, and the same concerns that I might have, or might be concerns that they have, and the importance of them coming up and saying, this is important to me, this is why it's important to me, that I just want to encourage people to do the same thing. A lot of times it does come to me because someone else will come to me with their concerns, and I have to present it as a board member. But other people can do the same thing. They can submit their concerns or voice their opinions about things, and the team listens.
Yeah.
And we have a number of mechanisms that can voice feedback to the team or to the board. We have it's a very small community that's very tightly integrated, and so everybody knows everybody, like you mentioned earlier. Even if you're new, you feel like you're welcome. And so every month we have a board meeting. We invite members to come and share their opinions and their feedback to the board. They can email the board directly, they can email me directly, the staff. They do that constantly. It's a very engaged community, definitely.
That's awesome. It's great that you're offering access to the people who can't make it exactly right, to show up. It's also awesome to see that you're submitting, people submit these panels or submit for panels on stuff that they think that people would want to see, but also things that people should know about, right? That you might not know. Embargoes is a great example of just I need people to know about embargoes because they're kind of messing it up out there, right?
Yeah.
And then there's you learn so much when you come to these things.
Yeah, I think the peer education is a strong draw for a lot of people here, but also we've got it's an amazing exhibit hall with I think 350 exhibitors that are there. They're going to be showing off their newest games. We have game nights, 3 of the nights. There are I think 85 tables at each of the game nights, and the companies are showing off their hottest and newest products before they hit the market. So you can people can say, I want to buy this, bring this in my store to resell it.
Yeah.
And then we've got our board meeting on Wednesday night. There's a media first look tomorrow where they're showing off games to the media specifically to check them out. And there's just a lot of different things that you can. It's like what you put in is what you're going to get out of this show.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, since it is a member show, we don't charge members to come to the show. once you pay your dues, you get 2 free badges to come to the show.
Oh.
Membership.
Yeah.
And so it's like not any extra cost. A lot of shows, I got to buy a badge now. Although we sell a lot of badges on top of that because people want to bring the full team if they have more than 2 people.
Yeah.
And so that, again, is also part of that community and that we're trying to build here. And because it's B2B only, you got to be in the industry to be part of this show.
Yeah.
And I hope you join us next year and we have an even better year next year.
There we go. Now, you said that there's 6 groups, obviously, that GAMA is kind of made up of and represented for. Are there areas of that, like, what do you hope to see grow in the next year, like, of those kind of 6 groups? You'd love to see more people getting involved.
Yeah, so we have our 3 legacy groups, like I mentioned, which was the publisher, retailers, and the wholesale. They've been around the longest. Publishers like 47 years, and retailers about 30 years, and then wholesale came in about 20 years ago. Probably a little more than that. I've been here 7 years. I don't know for sure. Let's call that a John fact. But the 3 new divisions, the creators, the media and events, and the production, they've had some massive growth. I mean, the fastest growing group we have is the creators and designers, which is phenomenal. But I'd like to see get more events and conventions involved too, because we've got a robust, almost 100 members in that. But most members in that division are media. So I'd like to see more events, organizations get involved, because I think running a convention is tough. I mean, I know that firsthand, and it's a lot of work. And you can really learn from your peers on how to run a better show to get the word out and actually have a successful convention for the attendees and the fans who want to come play the games. But that's a lot of work. It's basically it's a skill set, and they can come here and learn how to do that. And so I'd love to have more of them come to the show. And again, we've almost doubled the number of production companies coming over the last 3 years, which again, with all the issues we're having with tariffs and other problems like that, we have people from Australia, from Vietnam, from India that are doing factories. So it's kind of cool to see that happening as well. So it's a dynamic, growing industry.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be part of it.
I'm excited to be part of it.
This is my favorite event of the year. I know I'm biased. I put it on, team and all. But I mean, I'm a gamer. I love going to consumer shows. But this is what I get. This is my high of the week.
Yeah.
Walking through the hall, talking to the publishers who are showing their new games off, seeing the retailers get excited about a new game. That's what jazzes me and my team. And so, I mean, I love going to conventions, like I said, but this is the convention for us.
You're going to have a busy week. Do you think you'll get to play a single game?
It's funny though. Actually, I don't play that much games here.
Yeah, I would bet you're busy.
Yeah,
I would assume so.
Yeah, I mean,
most people don't though. Not at this one. I mean,
not a full game. They'll do a demo or something.
They'll do a lot of demos,
like the game nights.
Yeah, but they're still just demos. They're not full games.
Right.
So it's kind of a quick get the idea of what it is and then move along.
But people were camped out in the hallways of the hotel doing prototypes today, throwing some of the games off. And if you look around, there's games everywhere at the show. Yeah.
And all different levels too.
Yeah.
Like walking into the game demos, I saw like complete pristine packaging to like scrap pieces of paper inside like sleeves. Crowd around the table.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't figure out what the game was. I didn't have time, but I was like, what is that? Why? You know what I mean? Like.
Truly like a prototype.
Yeah. A true prototype, like in action. It was just like, oh wow. Yeah.
It's an amazing creative industry, and just seeing people how they get so excited about what they're bringing their idea to fruition, and I love that because we everything from I have a concept, the game's put on the table played, and everything along that chain is part of our association.
Yep.
Yeah.
So which is exciting.
What's really neat to see is the cheerleading that happens here for other people. So there are people that are. My husband's a game designer, and when his game came out. It came out with a specific publisher. He's had a couple games come out, and they've come up. But our friends who are in the industry that work for other publishers went to that publisher to buy the game. That's not a one-time thing. That's what they do. That you'll see that competitors buying each other's games and cheerleading them and saying this is a great game and here's why. And there's so much of that in the industry, and it's just heartening. And it's just like it feels really good to see people supporting one another in those ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a kind of a good reminder for people watching at home that maybe haven't been to a GAMA Expo in the past too, that might wonder if they're ready for it, even if they're already members that are participating in that and are still looking, if you don't have your game yet, right? To hear that there's people here with, actual real prototypes, like hand-printed prototypes that are getting wonderful feedback, making valuable connections for it, that there isn't really a time that's too soon to come out and start meeting people.
Yeah, it's almost like if you're not ready, that's a perfect time to start.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're not ready, great, you're the candidate.
Yeah, there's a huge imposter syndrome. Like, I'm afraid that I'm not worthy enough to do this. And the truth is, if you want to be a professional in the industry, you got to invest in your own education and your own ideas. That means you got to level up and join an association like us and be involved in the industry, learn as much as you can, and then you see your career start to hopefully progress. Yeah. So I love that GAMA provides opportunity for people to do that.
Right.
It's
And that's what
passion.
I really tell people that, if you come in, like you're coming in for media and events, because that's what your membership is. But if you see something about game manufacturing or prototyping or IP licensing and you're just interested in it, then go to the seminar. It's because everything that you understand about the industry and how other parts of the industry works is just going to make you more valuable, whether you're a designer or media or production or whatever you are. The more that you know about the whole ecosystem, the better off you're going to be in making the decisions. You may change in a prototype. If you're a designer, you may change the type of components you're going to have in your prototype because you know it becomes a pain point for the publisher when they try to source the cost of it. So all those kinds of things, the more that you understand, just the more valuable you're going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking about coming, I recommend you to watch all these videos because we're going to be putting a lot of them on online this week on our YouTube channel as well as on our Facebook group. And it's a way to learn about what you're missing out. And hopefully next year come and join us and do this in person if you're able to.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully there will be more to catch next year online too. This is a really exciting new program, but the opportunity to share it with people that are international or, many plethora of reasons. But yeah,
Absolutely.
hopefully it inspires some people to get out and experience it for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a really good segue to start talking about the education programs. And we'll bring David on here.
Yep.
And we'll move.
Bring him in.
Yep. Keep things moving along.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have a line, everybody. Just
Exactly.
saying, not
They're
to
lined
flex,
up.
but we have a line of very important people coming to
Right.
chat with us and tell you a little more about it. Today is kind of a great kickoff. You're going to meet a lot of the GAMA team overall. There's going to be different content all the days, and we're going to sit down with some publishers. We're going to be checking out some games as well. And today's a nice way to kind of get familiar, especially if you're a new member or somebody who hasn't really participated as much, to just get familiar with what GAMA is made up of. So, hey, welcome in.
Hi, thanks.
Why don't you tell us what you do and
Who you are.
what you're talking to us about?
Okay, well, my name is David Abelson. I'm the education manager for GAMA. So it's my responsibility, among other things, to try and curate all the peer-to-peer education and professional development that happens at this event and at our Origins event, some of that.
That's amazing. And I think that's something that's really unique about GAMA Expo. And we were talking a little bit before you came in about the education opportunities, though most conventions have panels. I think that the format of these and the information that can be given, because it is a more closed event to the industry, right? I feel like the panel topics are so much more in-depth and informative because you know who you're speaking to on that. When it comes to educational panels, is there anything specific that you hope gets explored when you're looking through the opportunities?
So when we're trying to put together the list of panels, it's one of the things that I'm really caring about is how can we make sure that we have as broad a spectrum of potential ways that people can dip into new information as possible. So that a member, like a retailer, is going to have, I think they've got 80 different seminars they can attend this year.
Wow.
But if they want to go attend, they might be interesting to them to go attend one of the publishing seminars so that they can learn a little bit more about, how publishers do what they do. I want to make sure that all of that information is there. And then as we continue to build this program, and this is a very robust.
I haven't heard that word before.
offering,
Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
This year, over 200 sessions, right?
Wow.
And what I really like about it is we're trying to grow out to a point where we can say to somebody who's new to the industry, hey, everything you need to know about being a part of this industry, you can learn at GAMA Expo. And then when they step up to the next level, everything you need to know about stepping up to the next level in this industry, you can learn at GAMA Expo. And that's our goal, is to be able to have really well-educated professionals in the industry. And, we're a pretty young industry, too.
Yeah.
All things considered, the toy industry has been around forever.
Yeah, always.
Forever.
Yeah.
Since the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The stick. Yeah, we were trying to figure out how many years we've been doing this show, and I was talking to one of our founding members of the organization earlier today about that. Yesterday, actually, he thinks this is going to be like our. We've been on 80 or 85, so it's early 80s we started doing the show. It's been around a long time,
Yeah.
and I think we have members who have been around equally long, and so we have to make sure we have a program that appeals to that broad range. I'm brand new. I've been doing this for 40 years. How do that is a wide remit to figure out.
Yeah. And from an education standpoint, that's actually really good for us, right? Because we have people with enormous amounts of industry experience in various different areas because generally speaking, you've done many things by the time you've been in this industry for 30 years, right?
Yeah.
They're the ones giving back at this point. So it's a lot of peer-to-peer education, which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
It's really cool. How are you like categorizing, or what are the people like the archetypes of the people that you think in your head, like, oh, this person will be interested in this, or like it'd be really helpful if publishers had access to this type of education. Are you dividing it up like that when you're thinking about like making something this robust?
I'm getting mocked a week at this, aren't I? I said the direction this is heading. And that's fair. That's fair.
Or is it more of like the person who submitted this is like very knowledgeable? I know they're going to put on a great panel. We should trust them to do something like that. Like, what are some factors?
I think it's a little bit of both, right? And we're sort of in a hybrid mode right now because we're still in a growth state. So we're trying to make sure that what members want, which is largely what the application process does for us, right? It tells us what members want people to see or what members want to offer to other members. And then the feedback we get from one show will help to inform the next show. And then at the same time, I think one of the processes we're going to be continuing now is to develop core competencies that we want to make sure that that we spread things out amongst, right? Yeah. So that within one area, there's an example that you talked about the creator pavilion and all the creator programming that are happening this year. Well, there's 25 creator-specific sessions that are, designers and primarily game designers are going to be the target of that. But those 25 sessions are going to get kicked off by a discussion about the 8 core sort of competencies that you want to build your knowledge around in the industry. And I think that's how we're going to continue to develop it.
Maybe you have to get like your GEs.
Yeah, that's a great way to. I've never seen a convention like do it that way. Yeah. Like basically core competency, a 101. Like, oh, you know what I mean? Like you know nothing about content creation. Like, oh, this is some language that you would need or some basic tech information that you'll need to do that. That's awesome.
It's important to have a level set, right? That way we have a common terminology, common vernacular, and we're all talking about the same thing that way. Yeah. And we can all move forward that way.
And there's going to be new people coming into the industry every year. So, it could be something that we've talked about last year, but ideally, hopefully, every single year there are tons of new people entering into tabletop games that are starting from zero and get the chance to kind of come and explore that here.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, and David's background is in education, so that's the reason we hired him. Yeah. We thought he had the vision and he had the experience in the industry, and he had the skill set to make this happen. And he's done an amazing job in the last 6, 8, 9 months he's been with us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay.
I want to give credit to my team because you guys do a great job.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I taught for 10 years, and I've designed a couple of games, and it was a really good fit when GAMA had the opening for me to sort of slide into a place where I could be sort of involved in both.
Yeah.
That I already had some relationships within the industry, and I've gained so many since. But yeah, it's been pretty exciting.
That's a really unique perspective to provide, to be able to be somebody who has both taught and designed games. I'm not going to say there's not other people who are teachers that design games, but I don't imagine it's a super long list.
I don't know. I think what I've noticed in the industry is there's a lot of definitely players who are educators or who are engineers, right? And then designers too. I think there's a lot of educators and a lot of engineers, and there's some basic reasons. Yeah. There's some basic reasons for that, but it's pretty exciting.
That's amazing. And then when it came to programming this year, you have like your kind of core competencies, but also for people who are not here, they might not have looked over the event schedule, right? Because they weren't coming.
Right.
What does a typical day of the educational seminars look like for somebody at home? What other topics might people be covering?
That is a loaded question.
There's a lot of stuff, which means the ones that he says are his favorites.
So I actually had somebody talk about this earlier today. He was like, well, I put a bunch of stuff on my schedule, but the way I did it was I put 2 sessions for each hour because I couldn't decide. So I wanted to just make sure that when the time comes, I'll just choose one. I could just go on and on and on about all the different sessions that we have. For retailers, we have sessions about the cafe model, having a retailer that's also a cafe. We have discussions about logistics. We have discussions about marketing. We've got some great. We have 150 panelists coming, including yourself.
That's true. Yeah,
Right?
and I know there's panels too. There's individual people. I think that's something unique. Is like the kind of layout of it all. A lot of the time, you can go to a convention and just get like a panel of a bunch of people doing that kind of surface level thing. But people are getting really in depth. They have an hour, right, of just like.
Yes.
Content, 50 minutes.
Generally 50 minutes.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is one person, one expert in the field or person in the industry that has some level of experience. Sometimes it's as many as 3 or 4 or 5 people with a moderator. And I like that variety, right? Like as an attendee, if it's always a panel, that can be okay. But I like walking into a room and being like, okay, this is an expert. Today, for instance, I really feel like if you wanted to know anything about Shopify,
Yeah.
I saw that.
there was 4 hours of Shopify content today. 4 different workshops that sort of built upon the knowledge you learned in other ones. And that kind of deep dive. We had some good deep dive content for retailers as well. Creators are going to be able to talk about development by doing a workshop. We've got some really, really interesting stuff going on this year.
That's awesome. If there was a weird niche thing that you've picked up in your career, okay, that you're like, I could talk for 50 minutes about this, right? You're not putting on the whole thing in this scenario. You're hosting one panel where you're like, God, I wish people knew this for both of you. What might that be?
Why don't you go first?
Oh, thanks.
That's what I submitted mine on. Mine was entirely like, man, God, I wish people just knew this thing.
Yeah.
That was entirely what it was based on. Is like, this has been my pain point, so I want to talk to the people on the other side causing me pain.
Yeah.
I think the one thing for me is, and this has been a topic of discussion for me with a number of industry folks, is for designers specifically, because that's my background, right? Relating to publishers, understanding what they expect from you in a conversation, how to act like a professional, like that. I want to talk about, how can you put your best foot forward when you're getting into a pitch meeting or just having a conversation. I think we all sort of fall into imposter syndrome sometimes, especially as new designers, that you want to be able to stand firm and realize that the work you put in matters.
Yeah. I think for me, because it goes back to what do you know, right? And so me, my background before I came here, I worked in state government, obviously lobbying for 17 years. I lobbied on home care and hospice issues for 4 years, which was an issue very important dear to me. Before I moved in this industry, I needed a break from hospice, no doubt about that. But I really think people need to understand that they have a voice and how they can reach out to their elected officials. And because what they do affects you as a business person. And this is a business. We're professionals here. Yes, it's a hobby. Yes, it's a passion of people. But it's a business in the day. And so what the government does around tariffs or around labeling licensing laws or on product testing, those all matter to us. And so I'd love to get people more engaged in helping us advocate on behalf of this industry. And I'm going to Washington, D.C. in about 3 weeks for 4 days to be talking about tariffs and about the misguided approach that this current administration is taking on that. I've said that for 20 years, tariffs are stupid. And they're bad for business. And if you want to grow your economy, that's not how you do it.
Yeah.
And so I want to get people more engaged. And like, you have a voice. Your voice matters. Elected officials care what you think about. If you don't think you do, because I'm just one person. But collectively, we have strength together. And that's what I would tell people about. You need to get engaged. We're going to give you the tools to GAMA. We're releasing a new grassroots advocacy website next month. And it has some great tools and resources on how you can contact your elected officials. And so I'm going to be doing some working with David, doing some seminars, webinars over the next few months about that, because it's top of mind right now for a lot of reasons, unfortunately. And so we're going to lean into that over the next 3 months. So,
Heck yeah.
yeah.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've been at a convention and heard that conversation. You know what I mean? It's a conversation that affects everyone, not just like people on board games or
Right.
tabletop or whatnot.
I think a lot of people are scared, and we're hearing a lot of people react to how much this is going to impact their business. Small business owners that are going to be devastated potentially by this.
Right.
But not a lot of people are kind of bringing that like, but you have to do something.
Yeah.
And that's hard. It's like it'll freeze you up a little bit because
Yes.
it's so big.
Yeah.
But that collective organizing is the thing that can make people feel like they can do something about it.
Definitely. Which, again, you're doing great setups, because now you like lead us into the conversation with Peter, which is next,
Yeah.
because we were very firmly committed to we need to have an inclusive, diverse industry that speaks. Everybody has a voice. Everybody should be able to sit at the table, and that's kind of why Peter came on board this year. And so I'd love to have Peter chat come in next. And
thank you for talking about educational seminars.
Thanks for
with
having
us,
me.
and
It was a
thank
lot
you
of fun.
for Stone.
Sure.
As somebody doing an educational seminar, thank goodness, because that's a very cool thing to be a part of.
So my hope is for next year, I'm actually going to be doing a seminar on this issue next year.
Okay.
And I'm just talking while waiting for Peter to come in because I haven't had time this year to make it happen. So I want to make sure we're being more mindful about that for next year too.
Yeah.
So,
Great. It's phenomenal.
Well, Peter, welcome in.
Thank you guys for having me. So excited to talk.
Yeah. Well, tell us about what you do with GAMA.
Absolutely. I am the official DEI and education coordinator here at GAMA. And one of the major projects that we're working on, directly this week, is helping David with the education side.
Yeah.
And we have promoting our Horizons Fellowship and the DEI committee here at GAMA.
Yeah.
Do you guys know what the Horizons Fellowship program is?
I do not.
I do, but for the people at home.
Yeah, fantastic.
And
But for the people at home, and Carlos.
And Carlos.
Yes. The Horizons Fellowship is GAMA taking direct funds and effort to raise basically people who just basically miss the spotlight, which is of course going to be being people who are diverse, looking for people to include them into the board game industry, and helping them be new publishers, retailers, and one of the things when I first started working is that I was actually a fellow working into the Horizons Fellowship, and then they gave me the opportunity to see from the inside, being like, hey, here's how you be a publisher. You get access to a mentor. You get to attend AMAs and ask questions on the one-on-one side of things versus all the education here that David's been doing has been great. But sometimes it's nice just to have like a 6-person audience and one mentor to talk to and get to ask your questions directly.
Yeah. And that's something that members of GAMA or external people can apply for potentially?
Yes.
What is that? Yeah.
So that's the best part about the Horizons Fellowship too, is that a lot of these people are not GAMA members because even though it's like a nominal fee to be part of GAMA, sometimes that's not something everyone can afford.
Yeah.
And GAMA takes the time to put funds toward giving them a free membership, put $1,000 toward travel and stipend. And we have wonderful sponsors like the people at Chip Theory Games who also offer $1,000 for marketing materials so that they can afford a booth here, can afford a tablecloth, a backdrop, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of members in GAMA that support this program, and it gives a lot of new publishers that come through. So, and their games are great, but they just get missed because, I don't know, thousands of games get launched a year.
Yeah.
Some people don't have access or connections or know anyone, and a plane ticket costs money.
It does.
A hotel costs
Yes.
money.
Yeah.
I used to be on the leadership board for the POC scholarship fund at
Yeah.
Big Bad Con.
Yeah.
So we would go through hundreds of submissions and just really find people real diamonds, that you're this is who I was complaining doesn't work for our company right now, you know? And we just found them and we need to get them here.
Yes.
And we need to introduce them to this person and that person. Because a lot of what we think of oh, well, there's just not enough good people to hire, or there's not enough this is everything else is easy, you know? Hiring the people who are available is easy.
Yeah.
Right? That's not fair. Doing the easy thing is never fair.
Right.
So I applaud you for that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
What type of new talent have you seen out there that are you really impressed by these people?
Yes. I would say I'm such a normal laid-back person in my life. I'm sure many people are homebodies and just want to stay at home with their cats and play games. That's our lives.
I feel seen, yay.
Yeah. But there's a lot of people who are the A-type personality who are seeking and trying so hard and they just don't see results and they just need the leg up. They just honestly deserve the opportunity to just say, hey, you know what, I'm working so hard to try and get this game going, whether it's a TTRPG or just a family game, because there's a lot of family games out there that I've seen that are just this person's trying really hard to try and get the product out there, but they need somebody to give them that, hey, this is the product problem of the game, not just mechanical. It's fun to play.
Yeah.
But it needs to compete at a product level. You have to change the imaging, the marketing, the verbiage. There's too many words on here. This is a kid's game. Switch to icons and teach the kids how to use icons, and that's something that you have to hear someone say.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be really hard to guess.
Yeah.
How long has the Horizon Fellowship existed?
Oh gosh, I think it's 5 years, 6 years.
It's about 4.5 years.
4.5.
We're on our third cohort now.
Yeah.
Oh.
When the board and the members suggest we do something to be more mindful of how we're people getting pathways to success in the industry. We come to the idea of doing this, and we want to make sure we create a pathway to success for people.
Yeah.
And so we went out and we opened. Anybody can apply for it. It's a 9-month fellowship. We're actually looking at expanding that for next year. And currently, it's for retailers and for publishers. And so we have an equal number. I think an equal number.
Yes.
We try to have an equal number of those in the group, but we want to be more mindful of the rest of the industry who hasn't had that opportunity. So I think for next we're trying to get media events to have that is in the table there. It's a little hard to have a distribution one because that's such in production. You're not going to have, and so we understand that we're mindful of that, but we want to be as inclusive as we can in the program. So when we've spent, I don't want to give numbers, but it's definitely well over 6 figures on this program in the last couple of years because we give them a stipend when they're in. We pay for their travel expenses to come to this show as well as come to Origins. We pay for their hotels. We give them travel money and food money for that. And it's just a great collaborative opportunity for them. And so we're looking at tweaking. That's what we brought Peter on because Peter, being a former fellow as a game designer, had been through the program and he saw it on the inside, which was great. And that kind of helped us because we were just thinking, okay, this we think works, but we don't know because we're not that audience. And so getting feedback from them is an iterative process.
Yeah, I would say my normal day job was like doing digital SEO for like plumbers, electricians, and so on and so forth, which is like a lot of project management at its core. And to be able to take that and apply it to the board games industry that I'm like passionate about, so exciting.
Very similarly,
Yeah.
I worked for a plumbing company like about 4 years ago. I was working for a plumbing company answering phones, and I did one of these scholarship programs.
Yeah.
And I'm currently the series producer for Dimension 20, which I've been introduced to a bunch of people. I had to do a lot of work. But things that like I didn't know were happening, like language, culture, a lot of culture stuff too. Like if you've never been in this environment before, like I had to learn. I'm like, oh, it makes so much sense. I sounded weird when I would pitch myself. You know what I mean? Like, of course I didn't get hired for those years. You know, like that's amazing work. Like, I really congratulate you.
Yeah. And so, in addition to the fellows, what else do you do on GAMA?
Oh, I think the biggest thing is a lot of paperwork. We're like with David. But like one of the biggest initiatives that we're trying to do is improve a lot of the communication internally, externally within GAMA, and like honestly improve the image of it. Because I think one of the things that we're working on is just like doing some more project management, helping out document the entirety of how the fellowship runs, / the entirety of how Expo runs. So like we're like delving into, not to name drop Monday.com. But
not sponsoring this at all.
No, not sponsored. But
if you want to give us some money, that's
Monday.
Cool.
Talk to us.
Because it's going to help you.
Or Asana.
Yeah. Whoever wants to give us a
Trello,
a trial or like a professional business account, come talk to us. But yeah, like that's some heavy undertaking to say, hey, like a lot of the work that we do here is so from the heart.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the people like. John's been here forever, and Paul, who's working on. Paul has been here also, like with the actual convention layout, and I've sat on those meetings and I'm watching them talk, and it's just like, oh, like they know exactly like how big the rooms are. They size the graphics of like a table to the millimeter on like a graph, and then like projected to an actual convention. I'm like, this is incredible work, and we need to be able to document the process so that we can continue to grow as a team. Because that's how you scale, right? Because we're trying to get GAMA to be the international known, like people already come over from all over to come attend this expo. Yeah. We want to try and become an international known entity. We have to be able to scale up to 10,000 attendees. Yeah. And our team is also growing as well. So those documented processes are going to be so helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because we've grown rapidly. I mean, I came here in 2018 when there were 5 of us. Now we have 14 people on the team. As the industry's grown, we've grown too to support it. So we're very grateful members are welcome to invest in us and coming to the shows and support us through dues and their projects and volunteering. And we're doing our best to support them whenever we can. So.
I want to reiterate something what John said earlier is your voices matter. It does. And all of you that are watching as GAMA members, like board elections are coming up again. And if you are a GAMA member, you absolutely attend / put your application in. Because not even just on the DEA side or the education side, but we just want members who want to support us and support the gaming industry to be more diverse in general to apply. And if you know friends who are not GAMA members but are very passionate about it, let us know because we can maybe talk about, everyone should be everyone who has a voice and wants to try and do something in the industry. That's part of this. We're trying to be the best, again, internationally known.
The board met. We had our board planning in the fall, and we've created a 10-year goal to be the epicenter of the tabletop gaming industry.
Yeah.
And we outlaid how we're going to make that happen in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Everything from being more advocacy efforts, more education. That's where we're investing, bring Peter on. We want to make sure we're an inclusive industry. And so we're investing, putting our money where our mouth is and saying, we're going to be leaders in this industry. This is how we do it. And we've laid out a 10-year plan to do that.
It's amazing.
And part of that is doing these kind of things, doing more outreach and doing more videos and more ways to engage people. So
I wish we could see chat and answer questions.
Yeah. You mean like
that's a
live
26
chat.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, next year.
There we go. Yeah, that's the real goal for GAMA Expo
Exactly.
2026 is a live chat.
Yeah, 2026 chat.
But I think that is
Nice.
a huge part of the expansion, and I'm so glad that you're part of that expansion. It's so reassuring to hear how important that these initiatives and efforts are to the growth of GAMA. That like when putting together who should be talking on this today, it was like this is a really important topic, and like when breaking down what the board is for people and what GAMA Expo is really represented by, that this is like a pillar of it.
And all ships rise with this type of thing too, because like you see it start, like the panels will start to change next year, right? And there'll be information that like some people never had before, had never heard from a point of view that they didn't even know existed, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like about talking about subjects and topics that like, oh, this person's actually an expert and I shouldn't be talking about this thing, right? You know what I mean? Like those things will come
people
up.
know that we want to hear from them. They want that they again have a voice in our industry, and they should see the table. And if they should come forward. We welcome people to submit ideas for either for projects or for seminars, and we definitely do our due diligence and make sure that it works if it's possible.
Yeah.
So
I would say one of my favorite education seminars that is titled "We Can't Talk About It, It's Embargoed," and I love this because it's in all caps. And when you go, the description itself, if you have the app, go take a look at it and attend it, because I just think it's funny that you're right. A lot of information just like it's protected, it's a company secret, but it's not. Like a lot of these things are something that is education available elsewhere, but it's just so scattered shot.
Yeah.
Like, it's so hard to find. So yeah, working with David, we're just like, we want to make sure that if anyone comes to join GAMA, they see the value, come back every year, so that if they go 10 times their size, like, or 10 times like revenue in a year, like, oh well, what do we do now?
Yeah. You come back and do it bigger next year.
Oh
That's
gosh.
what you do.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So much.
excellent. Well, thank you, Peter. Appreciate being part of this today.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you guys
thanks
for having me.
talking with us. We really appreciate it. Thank you for all the work you do. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Absolutely. I think that's coming up on the end of it. Before
Yes.
we sign off, of course, I know you gave like an overview of what's happening, but for people who have never been to a GAMA Expo,
Right.
What would they expect a day here to look like?
Sure. So we kicked off on Sunday, and we went through Thursday. The first 2.5 days are seminars starting from like 9 a.m. going till 6 o'clock every day, with some breaks for some networking events and things like that happening during the day. Then we have a dinner break, and then they go in the evening. They come back and they do the game nights. They do the demos for a couple hours, and then usually go and have a social hour after that, or for an hour or two or whatever. Like we finished setting up last night, registration over at the hotel like around midnight, and then remember we walked by and I spent the next 2 hours talking to them about something, a project, or whatever. It's like, okay, it's sort of like I should go to bed now, you know? But it's all those. Happenstance conversations. You don't plan them, but you just run somebody in the hallway and have a conversation. When next a couple hours go by, because you're learning so much having those conversations. And so every day is like that. You know, where it's all day long programming, and then again Sunday, Monday, and half of Tuesday is seminars and peer-to-peer education. And then on Tuesday afternoon, we'll open up the exhibit hall, and that'll be open Wednesday afternoon from 2 to 6, and then break, and then game nights again, and then all day Thursday from like 10 to I think 5 is the exhibit hall again. Normally we do the exhibit hall on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays for 4 hour blocks, because it's a lot to do. But because of some logistics getting into the convention center this year, there's a volleyball tournament going on. They're moving out, we're moving in, and so it kind of staggered when we actually have the hall open. Next year we've already locked in an additional day on the front end to set up, and so next year we'll go back to our traditional where it'll still be seminars on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, but it'll all be here at the convention center, and we'll be switching the hotel in here, and then we'll have exhibit hall opens on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next year. So again, because we expect we'll need more space, because there's more.
Yeah.
We're rapidly outgrowing Louisville. We're actually looking for our next location. We have site selection committees doing that, and we've narrowed it down to Chicago, Baltimore, and Minneapolis. We've shared that, so it's not like a reveal or secret here.
I love Chicago.
Yeah.
I'm born and raised Chicago. I love
It's a
it.
great city.
I look at them anytime anyone says Chicago. I'm like
You really do look at me every time. I
waiting
love
for the
Chicago.
reaction.
Yeah, but we'll have that done. The process that completed and announced in probably April or May. So people have plenty of time to plan ahead.
Yeah.
We're contractually here for 2 more years. But and once we're done with Louisville and we outgrow it or whatever, then we'll move on to the next city.
Yeah.
But we were in Louisville. So we were in Nevada for 10 years, between Las Vegas and Reno, and so we'll see where GAMA goes next as we continue growing and have a more robust show.
There you go.
I had to throw the empty in there.
Yeah, you had to button it up with
Exactly.
it. Well, there is. This is not the only stream. This is not the only time that you're going to hear about all of the exciting things that are happening at GAMA this week. There are streams throughout much of the day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Am I right?
Correct. Yeah. So we'll be doing the live stream with the two of you on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then we find that with some recorded content from the seminars throughout the day. And then our crack AV team here is walking around taking pictures and doing B-roll, and they're going to walk around the exhibit hall. You get to see that. A chance to see all the cool things that are happening here this week.
Amazing.
We want the FOMO to be real this year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you'll get a real idea of what it is that you're missing here, and at least pick up on some of the wonderful tidbits from some of those great seminars. So we hope that we will see you then on these streams over the next couple of days. I think that's probably it for us, huh?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate both being part of this process for our kickoff initial GAMA Expo Plus, and we see where this is going in the next few years.
Super excited. We'll see you tomorrow, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.